Hey everyone, welcome back to the FitMom channel. I am Liz Roman, your functional practitioner specializing in gut health. And I'm also doing a series right now on pregnancy because I am in my second pregnancy, just finishing up my first trimester, and I want to share some things with you, as I talked about in my first video, that maybe your doctor isn't sharing with you or supporting you with. So my goal is to empower you and equip you to support your body to have the healthiest pregnancy and best outcomes as possible. So today, the important topic is pregnancy nutrition. As I mentioned before, my doctor kindly reminded me that it's good to eat healthy, but the baby doesn't get everything that you eat, so just make sure that you're trying to eat well. And I was like, what else can I do to support my body other than take good quality supplements, rest, hydrate, and nourish my body with good quality nutrients? This is a really, really important topic because, as I mentioned, this is the highest nutrient need time of your life. After all, we are creating human life. So what exactly do we do when we are pregnant and maybe we just first find out and we're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I don't want to do anything wrong. I don't want to harm the baby. If I eat something wrong, will it harm the baby? So I always want to preference that you're doing a great job and all you can do is focus on what you can control. Everything else is going to be the outcome as it will. Okay. And so just know that if you are struggling with things like nausea or heartburn or food aversions, really just take what I'm sharing with you today and apply it in the way that you can. There is no judgment. There's, of course, an optimal way that we're eating and nourishing our body, but there's also reality. And sometimes the reality is that chicken or whatever it might be makes you want to vomit and you're just totally repulsed by it. So let's be real and honest and talk through the things that can help you, but also I'll give you some tips if you are struggling in terms of, the aversions or nausea to maybe make things a little bit easier and maybe a little more digestible. So first and foremost, this is one of my favorite books. This is written by Lily Nichols. She also just came out with Real Foods for Fertility. So if you are in the preconception phase, definitely check that out. But this was my Bible in my first pregnancy. And so I'm going to share a lot of the tips here in summary for you because eating a nutrient-dense diet with real food is really important. And what do we mean by real food? Right? We mean one ingredient whole foods, things that are unprocessed and as close to their natural state as possible. So here I would encourage thinking about fresh fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, seeds, potatoes, good quality meat and dairy. As you can tolerate those things, all of this is going to bring us a lot of antioxidants, vitamins and minerals, fatty acids, aminos, all the things that we need to nourish your body and also support baby's development. There's a few key nutrients that I want to talk about, and when we get to the supplement section, I will be sharing what to look for in your prenatal and really things that maybe you want to stay away from in prenatals as well. But in your diet, there's kind of 4 big things that we do want to focus on. Number 1 is folate. So folate is a type of B vitamin. It is also known as folic acid in the synthetic form. You are going to probably talk with your doctor about taking a prenatal with folic acid. I am a big believer because so many people struggle to break down that folic acid into folate that you should have a high quality prenatal that provides you with folate and not folic acid. This is crucial for preventing neural tube defects, okay? So you can also get this in your foods, of course, because it's found in nature naturally, highest in leafy greens, legumes, and liver. I don't know that you're probably craving organ meats. I know I'm not. So you could, of course, supplement if you wanted, with additional folate if you don't have a lot in your prenatal. That is something that I did throughout my first trimester because I do know that I have the MTHFR gene mutation, and this can also just help with detoxification in the body as well as energy. So research shows that adequate folate is really important as it can reduce the risk of neural tube defects by 70%. So that's why, again, doctors do talk about folic acid, but we want folate. Give me the real thing. The second thing is that iron can often become low. There's a lot of blood flow that's happening, right? Increased water and fluid retention and increased blood volume. So iron prevents anemias. So great sources here would be red meat, spinach, lentils, and then of course your doctor should be checking your iron levels. We don't want to overdo it, so my recommendation is not to take an iron in a supplement form unless you need to, and then I'll talk more about the types of iron and if you had to take it, what you should take in the supplement video. The third thing is DHA. So this is omega-3 fatty acids. This is really important again for baby's brain and eye development. So we also know that omega-6 fatty acids are higher in terms of what's in our food supply. If you're going out to eat more frequently, things that you're getting exposed to in terms of seed oils and whatnot, things in processed foods are going to give you more omega-6. So we want to counterbalance that and make sure you have a good, omega-3. So I'll talk about that supplementally if that's something that you would like to add, because maybe you're saying right now, I am not eating salmon or other fatty fish. I don't like seafood. I'm definitely not eating a can of sardines. I'm with you. Even though those are excellent sources, probably not something that you're craving every day, or maybe even could think about stomaching in this phase, so we could supplement, right? Studies indicate that this can really enhance fetal brain development and reduce the risk of preterm birth. So that's a really big one. And then last but not least, this is like my favorite one, and I will shout it from the rooftops. I don't know why it is not spoken about more commonly in the conventional space, but it should be. So inside of this book, she goes more in depth about different nutrients and minerals and vitamins and things that you can even go a step further. But she talks about choline. Dr. Ben Lynch talks about choline, and many, many other functional doctors talk about the importance of choline, and not just for mom, but for baby, our needs are elevated. So especially in pregnancy, about 900 milligrams per day of choline is really important for brain development, cognition, but also preventing those neural tube defects. Now, there is some research to show us too in trimester 3, right, that we have a higher need, and even maybe postpartum, but I'm aiming to get 900 milligrams of choline. Thankfully, it's already in the prenatal that I'm taking, so I don't have to supplement additionally. But in my last pregnancy and other prenatals that I have looked at, they don't supply 900 milligrams. So you would definitely want to supplement additional choline alongside your prenatal if you're not getting that within it, okay? So where can we find this in nature? Eggs, especially the yolks, really fantastic source of choline, and then research, just shows us that this can also help not only with that cognitive function and the brain development, but also improve their memory. So reduce the risk of, memory issues down the line. So I do want to talk now about how much we should be eating and maybe some of the misconceptions about pregnancy nutrition. First and foremost, I want to share that we do have a podcast that we've interviewed some really great people, practitioners and doctors about pregnancy nutrition, and so I'll link those in the show notes. I do know that many people in the first trimester are having aversions to different foods, smells. Again, you might be feeling nauseous or having, that morning sickness, and you can't even think about stomaching protein. Lily Nichols talks a lot about protein in this book and the importance of getting at least 100 grams, a day of protein. And so I'm going to share some ways that I think that, you could do that if you are sick. But what we know is that we generally crave more carbs, and I know I'm definitely craving more carbs, and sugar and simple carbs, because the body inherently knows that in protein, we can be a little bit more exposed to bacteria or viruses or parasites, thinking about, for example, undercooked red meat, right? I like my steak medium rare. I love sushi. Obviously, that's taken off the table for this period of time, but part of the reason why we crave more carbs is because the body is so stinking smart and amazing. It just knows that carbs are pretty safe, okay? So just don't want to overlook that. I want to reiterate that it's really important to have adequate protein, however you can get that in, and I'll give some tips in a few minutes. But let's talk about, what do I need in pregnancy? So there's some misconceptions that we should probably debunk here, okay? So the first one is eating for two. Yes, you are growing a human, and yes, this is a high, calorie, energy expensive time, but the truth is that you really don't need to be eating for two. Our nutrient needs increase, but our calorie needs only slightly increase. So this is where it comes back to focusing on quality and not quantity. I will tell you that I am a big believer and a big proponent, though, in this time of following your intuition and eating to hunger cues. So even if you start at a higher, BMI that you want, this is not a season to be trying to lose weight. This is a season of nourishment. So eating at a maintenance intake level and then increasing your calories as necessary and as needed in the second and third trimester is important, but really we want to focus mostly on the nutrients, right? And so again, when we think about eating for two, that can be debunked. And we'll talk about how much you should increase in each trimester. Avoiding fats. I don't know why this is even still a thing, to be honest with you, but our bodies rely on amino acids and good quality fatty acids. Okay, so amino acids we get a lot from our proteins. We want complete sources of proteins. And then fatty acids we get a lot from good quality fats. These are essential for hormones, especially if you're having a girl. I don't know exactly yet what I'm having. I'm praying it's a girl, but they need, more. We need more hormone support. Okay, so it's really important for baby's brain development. So this is where we think about things that are rich in good quality fats and fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. Vitamin D. Why does your doctor check it? It's more than just a vitamin. It is also a hormone, so you should be checking that throughout pregnancy. So you can find good quality fats in, of course, nuts, seeds, oils, avocados. All of those things are great, and then I would really minimize utilizing, any of the processed foods that have a lot of seed oils in them. Obviously, if you go out to eat, that's really out of your control, but try to stick with olive oil, avocado oil, butter, ghee, those types of things. There's more. If I didn't name them, look it up and just make sure that it's not a rancid, industrialized seed oil, okay? So the scientific evidence, again, in this book is so powerful. Definitely get it, read through. I've highlighted a lot of things in here related to different categories and why all of those things are really important, but we don't want to be thinking about this time as restrictive. We want to be balanced and have a variety, a diversity of nutrients. So this involves, incorporating foods that are in season or new foods, maybe rotating things, listening to your body's cues. If you're craving certain things, go after that and don't avoid it. But if it's the cravings, like I know I've had a lot more of for sweets, we do want to balance that out. So Lily Nichols discusses a variety of different studies showing that a diet rich in whole foods supports better pregnancy outcomes, from better, birth weight to lower risk of digestional diabetes. All of those things just can help support the maternal health and then, better fetal health outcomes. So it's not about weight so much, it's really about nourishment. The caveat that I'm going to add on here, because I do work with a lot of people who have underlying chronic issues and illnesses and toxicity, is that you really want to think about the dirty dozen and trying to buy organic if you can at a minimum. I know prices are crazy, so at a minimum, what I would recommend is really wash your fruits and vegetables. You can do a vinegar soak, you can use an ozone bubbler like I have, but we want to get all the herbicides and pesticides off of our fruits and vegetables before we consume them. And really with your animal proteins, try to stick with grass-fed organic. Yes, I understand that there is some question out there of, is it really grass-fed organic? Listen, all we can do is the best with the knowledge and information that we're given. So those would be the things that I think are really important. There's actually been research to show that people who had a lot of fruits and vegetables that were conventionally, sprayed with all the herbicides and pesticides and all of that, had a lesser result in terms of their fertility outcomes compared to those who ate less fruits and vegetables in like volume wise, but they were organic. Okay, and so really try to buy organic if you can. If that's not in the financial cards, make sure you're at least trying to wash all that nastiness off before you consume it. So how much do I eat? First trimester, calorie needs don't really change much. Again, the focus should be on the quality of your diet and getting in as much good as you can, right? I understand some people are really sick, and so it's really just thinking about like, can I get a couple baby carrots in? Maybe do some hummus and crackers. Maybe if I'm craving ice cream, I could try doing smoothies or yasso bars, like Greek yogurt bars with a little protein, something along those lines. If you are dealing with nausea, I think that it's really, really helpful to do anything and everything related to ginger and peppermint as possible. So you can even smell like peppermint candles. You can drink ginger tea. You can take ginger supplements. You can do ginger chews. You can do peppermint tea. A lot of those things can really help with nausea. Of course, we think about, just carbohydrates like crackers, or maybe even like a diet 7-Up. Yes, I said it. Or, applesauce. Some of those things can help. Now, when we get to the second trimester, the research tells us that we need about 300 additional calories per day. I think BMI is going to come into play here and how much you've been eating prior. So 200 to 300 calories per day, which is roughly the equivalent of an extra snack, right? A piece of fruit, maybe a handful of nuts or seeds, and a small yogurt. Pumpkin seeds are really a star player in pregnancy. So just really trying to think about getting in enough protein, as I mentioned before, a minimum of 100 grams per day, iron and calcium. So if you're able to tolerate more protein in the second trimester, really be thinking about how we can incorporate that every meal. And I really would encourage you to try to think about a minimum of 30 grams, especially first thing in the morning, somehow. So again, if you're sick, thinking like, could I do a Fairlife shake that tastes like chocolate milk? Could I do a smoothie, a yogurt, something along those lines that could be a little more tolerable than like eggs or breakfast sausage? By the third trimester, so this is where when we think about even macronutrients, carbs, proteins, fats, generally we're craving a little bit more fats and turn to more fats because everything is growing and expanding and there's not enough, or there's not that much room kind of squished all in there, right? Your organs and your stomach. So fats are very dense in calories compared to carbs and protein. So you might want to consider, increasing your calories here from more things like almond butter, nut butter, seeds, oils, avocado, those types of very delicious things. But in this, we need about 450 to 500 calories more per day. So again, that looks like more of like another small meal or just another really dense snack. This is again where I know in my last pregnancy, I was using more of the fats because I was able to get more calories in without more volume. And so we want sustained energy. We also know that fats and protein give us like the good sustained energy for blood sugar, where carbohydrates are kind of like the quick sources of energy. So, if you are feeling more tired and run down, listen to your body, but also think about the balance of your meals, okay? So when we think about recipes and ideas, as I mentioned before, it really comes down to quality. And I know there's so many meal plans and things out there. I don't want to bore you, but I can share some tips that I've done. So I am, pregnant in the summertime, and I really like smoothies. Those can be very refreshing. And there I'm trying to do some protein. I have a really nice protein powder I like from Paleo Valley. I also like Equip. Either one of those are great. And so I will do that with some fruits and some vegetables and, blend that up with some ice and make it, really smooth. I really like to add chia seed in there as well. So if you find that, you're really constipated, I'll talk more about that in the supplement video. But if you're really constipated, chia seed, flaxseed, MCT oil, 2 kiwis a day, all those things can be very helpful. So constipation smoothies, you can always reference. I've got 2 guides out now. So I have the constipation cure, and then I also have a kids constipation cure guide. And there I get a lot more smoothie ideas. Another thing that I did is an egg bake every week. And I would kind of rotate here, what I put in it. Sometimes I would put tater tots on the bottom or sweet potato on the bottom or hash browns. But really I would do some sort of, blend of cottage cheese that if you blend it with your eggs or your egg whites, really makes it kind of fluffy and cheesy and just delicious. And then I would throw in some vegetables because I've not been craving vegetables. That's not the first thing I turn to, but I can microdose in and get a little bit more, in. So that was something, plus I didn't have to think about it in the morning. I could pair it with a gluten-free waffle or some of the homemade banana bread muffins I've been loving lately, and that gives me a nice balanced meal. Lunch and dinner options, I think this is really up to you and what suits your lifestyle. I think the biggest thing here is really focusing on the balance, right? Do I have a protein source? Do I have a good quality fat? And then what kind of carbohydrate? Ideally, we stick with more fibrous carbohydrates. I've been personally loving white sweet potatoes and, doing sweet potato fries or, anything like that that's going to give me a little bit more fiber with my starch. But of course, I love rice and things like that too. So last here is snacks and desserts. I've been baking a lot more, and so, whatever is seeming to call on you, everything from cottage cheese ice cream, so I have made some like cinnamon banana bread, some different muffins and cookies. I have some collagen cookies that I really like from Belly Brand Foods, as well as their brownies. So those are always good options, and macronutrients on them are not bad. So that's a kind of a delicious alternative. Again, it's hot, so I'm thinking about my cold treats. So we have done a little bit of, ice cream, and there I'm trying to stick with like the Yasso bars, or at least like a homemade ice cream, but sometimes we've stopped at like an Andy's custard and shared something too. So, it's all about balance here. It's not about perfection. It's really just thinking about how can you nourish your body. And I wish that your doctors talk to you about these things more. But to sum this up, it's really about focusing on good quality, nutrient dense, one ingredient whole foods, whatever your body is calling, whatever colors you can get in, however much good that is. There's no judgment, but just try to add it to maybe what sounds good. If nothing sounds good besides carbohydrates right now, then maybe we try to get it in that liquid form or some sort of, supplemental form. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below, and I'm always happy to answer those, or if you're wondering where I'm finding any of my recipes or things like that. But again, this Real Food for Pregnancy by Lily Nichols is one of my favorite books. I will put the link in the notes as well if you want to grab that. And as always, we do have practitioners on our team at FitMom that specialize in pregnancy, preconception, postpartum. So if you need any support, you're looking for guidance, customization, individualization, if you're struggling with something, you can always book a call with our team. We are more than happy to help you and support you on this journey, this beautiful journey that's emotional and wild and crazy at the same time of creating life. We are here to support you. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel.